Green space 10.
What's up, Chad? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another live stream. Happy to be back after an amazing weekend with my family. Happy to be back with you all. How everyone is doing today. First of all, Green Space 10, thank you so much for the Prime subscription, dude. I really appreciate that. Your support is always so awesome, so I really appreciate that. David, how you doing, dude? Nice to see you. Diabel, what's up, dude? Exathos, nice to see you as well. Good morning. What do you mean, dude? It's literally late in the evening for me. It's 9 p.m. here. That being said, welcome back anyways. Well Plus Multimedia, what's up? Tuto, how you doing? Nice to see you. Oh, Diabel, thank you so much.
D4 Bell. Anunam, deal with it.
Dude, I really appreciate your support. 4 months already. That's crazy. I'm streaming for 4 months now, and you are supporting my work. Thank you. Appreciate that. Pig and Flow, how you doing, dude? Appreciate Pig and Flow. You are always on Discord, making questions, also answering some of the questions I make. I really appreciate you being on my Discord all the time. If you want to be cool like Pig and Flow, feel free to go to my Discord channel. We are always there as a community. You can join us here as well. Luis, how you doing? Nice to see you. Charlie French boy, it's been a while. Nice to see you, dude. Zaro, how you doing? Pedestal, nice to see you. Phosphor, how you doing, dude? Yeah, it's 5 months. It's 5 months. 5 months already streaming. It's insane. Augusto Souza, nice to see you. Hi, Florian. Hi again. Peter, what's up, dude? Mamadi, how you doing? Jean-Pierre Sanchez, how you doing? Forward Dev, nice to see you. And yeah, I want to start this live stream by saying something. I know that last Friday, I told you all that David Hill was supposed to come today, but unfortunately, he actually had a problem on his microphone. So we decided to postpone his live stream to another day, which is okay. I have also an amazing topic for you all today, and hopefully we are going to enjoy the topic of today. Before we jump into that, how is the sound today? Is the microphone okay? Is the music okay? What type of music do you guys want today? The topic of today is actually pretty cool. So, I was on YouTube, okay? As you guys know, I am on YouTube sometimes. And I've seen this video from Theo T3.gg guy who, you know, I'm a big fan of him, and he made a video about my current stack. And obviously, his stack, just looking at this stuff, his stack is very different from mine, you know. I just look at this, and I have pretty much different choices for everything I'm seeing right now. And I think it'll be fun if we actually do our own tech stack. Okay? Basically moving here into my draw situation and kind of do my own tech stack. But I feel like there is a few things I want to talk about which are not here. I want to talk about local tooling, the things I use locally for my local development. There is a few things here which I do use as well, for like caching, and potentially other things I'm not seeing at the moment, which I think will be fun to discuss with you all, to kind of understand what do you guys use, what do I use, and why. Okay? And you guys know, today, for everything, there is multiple things we have choices for, and I feel like it will be fun to discuss this situation with you all. Okay? Of course, Luis Cruz is saying you can replace all of that with Laravel. Oh my god, indeed, dude. The music is okay. I may go for my country music, dude.
Peak Labs _dev. SXNT dev.
Bunkers, thank you, man. I really appreciate 5 tier 1. 5 tier 1. I really appreciate your support.
NVH Gamer.
You awesome, man. Thank you, thank you.
Shays Desjardins _ Leo _Knudsen.
Bonkers, thank you so much, man, for your support. You are awesome, man. Really awesome. Thank you, thank you. Okay, guys, first of all, I need your help. What kind of things do we have? Okay, so looking at this stuff, I need to start with my current stack on the top. So that would be my current stack. Okay, I have a back-end framework, front-end framework. What do I have also? Can I make this bigger? Oh yeah. Oh, interesting. There we go. Oh my god, this is so good. This app is called Excalidraw, which I never used, but actually it's so easy. So, if you guys know this tool already, let me know. Oh, wow. Nice. Can I do this? Oh, yeah. So back-end framework, front-end framework. What else I'm missing here? Charlie French Boy is saying I use Excalidraw every day. Interesting. Dude, it's pretty cool, man. I literally watched Tio's video. I screenshot this window and asked ChatGPT, can you tell me what this dude is using? So I can use for me as well. Notifications are way too loud. It's intentional, dude. All right, what else we have? Backend framework, front-end framework, hosting provider for sure. Let's see. It might be obvious for us, but maybe we put backend language as well. Provider, front-end provider, caching. This goes to the backend situation, I think. A little bit like this. Caching, database. I have an idea. I'm going to literally do this. Backend language, backend framework. Here we go, chat, a little bit more clean. Caching, database, auth. This will be fun. It's crazy, like, we as a Laravel developers, like literally, we never thought about using a SaaS or anything else for authentication. And the people on the JavaScript ecosystem, they actually use external services for auth, which is insane to me. Insane. It's something that I've never thought about. I literally just use Laravel and it just works. But, I want to discuss that with you all. CSS framework, good choice, dude. That's a good one. Let's put here front end. So we obviously have a framework, right? I mean, it's we have a framework for the front end all the time, right? It's kind of, you know, I don't know. I feel it's something that everyone uses, right? I'm gonna end this with a hosting provider. Like this. What else do we have here, chat? I have a question about TabSense. Let me know. IDE. Oh yeah, local development. Let's go. Local development. IDE, of course. What do I have about local development? Let me open this. Database, UI, caching, UI. What else? Should I make this a little bit smaller? Maybe this. I almost want to split this in 2 screens. Give me a second, chat. I'm gonna make it like this. And I think I'm gonna just copy this. Can I do that? Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, so good. I'm a fan of this app already, chat. Front end, local development, hosting provider. We don't need this. We don't need this. Okay, chat. What else am I missing right now? Ooh, great question from Luis. Which services do you pay? You mean like production? Let's put here production services. Things we use in production, like emailing, you know what I mean? Like email, logs. What else? What do we have in production as well? CDN, domains. Oh yeah, baby. What else? Analytics, that's a good one. Terminal, oh yeah, baby. That goes to the local development, right? Terminal. What else, chat? Payment provider. I don't have experience with that, so you guys want to help me out. All right? Payment provider, that's a good one. CI, that's a good one as well. Where do we put the CI though? Should we put the CI on production services? I don't know. Testing framework. Oh yeah, baby. I'm gonna put here just testing, and then we discuss a little bit about this. Okay. It's like this. Where do I put CI? It's some category? Okay. CD. We may have stuff here, I guess. Operating system? That's a good one. Operating system. That's OS though, right? Let's just put like this. AI model. Do I want to put that? I guess, right? That would be on the back end though, right? AI models. What else, chat? Color scheme, that's a good one. Font. Let's go for the font as well. Let's put here a section on IDE. Literally just do like this. Font. Size. Color scheme. Oh my god. You guys make me this question literally all the time, so I feel like this deserves its own section almost. Okay. Cappuccino mocha, let's go. Testing front end too. Yeah, I think we're going to put that on testing, I think. Documentation, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. I'm gonna have here docs, basically. And then we decide what to put here. Okay, what do you guys think about this? Is this enough? I feel this is enough. What do you guys think? This is, I feel this is enough. Do we want to put anything else on the back end here? What do you have? Like when we go with Laravel, for example, if I go here, like laravel.com. Oh yeah, we need to talk about this. Broadcasting, right? Broadcasting driver. Yeah, we need to talk about as well the way we serve applications. So like literally local development. That would be on the local development section. Authentication, that's here. Auth, right here. Okay. Debugging, that's DD, dude. But I'm gonna still put a section debugging to see what you guys have to say about that. Okay, this is enough, right? Oh my god, this is so cool. I can literally do this. Jesus Christ. This is really cool as a tool, by the way. Okay. Yeah, that's that database editor is this one. Database UI, basically. Okay. Hosting is here on the bottom. I have a section about that. All right. Let's start. My current stack in 2025. Are you guys ready? Because, as you guys know, everyone has their own opinions about this, okay? But, you know, that being said, I'm gonna give you my opinion on each and every single one of these topics, and I wanna know what do you guys think about this, okay? I wanna know what you guys think about this. The Nuno stack, let's go. Oh yeah, baby, let's put here. The Nuno stream stack, okay? This is not my stack, it's the stream stack, okay? All right, for the backend, which language you typically go with, okay? And I don't want only people from PHP answering. I want people from every single space on the world ecosystem. What do you guys typically use as the backend language? And I'm gonna start. Before you guys type anything, I'm gonna start to say what I do use, okay? I use PHP today, okay? I use PHP for my app development on the backend. And some of you may think PHP is kind of old school. Well, in 2025, PHP have changed quite a lot, okay? PHP is now a very mature language, and I feel that for web development, on top of something like Laravel, actually brings me everything I want for today is development, okay? With PHP, I can do strongly type coding, okay, with thanks to PHP Stan. I have tooling like Rector PHP, which is absolutely awesome in terms of refactoring. I have Pint, which is the equivalent of ESLint. I have Past PHP, which is the equivalent of Jest. So I feel like PHP today is in a great space for backend development. However, let me tell you, I think if you would tell me like why you don't use Ruby or Python or JavaScript for the backend, there is a strong reason, which is the framework I use. The framework I use is called Laravel, which is undeniably only usable on PHP. So we have to talk about that, all right? So Luis Cruz is saying, I use PHP. Interesting. Deep Vision uses C++ or PHP depending on the app. Are you talking about web development? Would you do web development in C++? That's very interesting. All right, I see a little bit of Python here, which is interesting. Python is not surprising. I'm going to be honest with you. Python comes with Django, which is kind of, you know, a web framework within the space of Rails Django, and Laravel. All of these three languages, these three frameworks actually, provide you kind of the same experience while building web applications. So I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of people with the stack Go and TypeScript. Interesting. And we have seen that Go, on the other day, is an amazing language. I'm not familiar, though, with Go web frameworks. Would you use a Go web framework? Or would you use vanilla Go for web development? I'm interested about that, okay? You are surprised not seeing any JavaScript? I'm not surprised, to be honest. Ooh, here we go. JavaScript in Nest. What is Nest? Oh, I think I've seen that one. A progressive Node.js framework. Interesting. With a nice logo on the back end. Okay, I see dependency injection, type safety, microservices. Ooh, every single time I see this word, microservices, this is like literally too much 2010, dude. Like, you guys remember when microservices were a thing? And now literally everyone avoids them. Because they sell something they don't actually promise, they don't actually give. It's insane. Yeah, Next.js. I have never used this. Never used this, literally. Okay. In 2010, everyone was talking about microservices. Peter, we're not having David Hill tonight, okay? David Hill have a problem with his microphone. He is coming, though, on a different live stream. He is coming. I promise you. I promise you. Adonis.js, interesting. Vanilla Go. Okay, thank you for the answer. So apparently people use Vanilla Go when doing web development in Go, okay? So, Chad, I'm going to put here as a language PHP because, indeed, at least for the Nuno stack, it's something that I use literally all the time for web development, okay? And you guys know PHP is very different today, okay? PHP gives you everything you would expect from a modern language, all right? A lot of people talking about this Adonis.js TS backend as well. Why I don't like microservices? Because I feel like having decoupled systems, while in theory looks like a good thing, deploying actually decoupled services can be really annoying because you need to support multiple and different versions of every single microservice you have. They need to be retro-compatible with every single previous version, and that's very annoying, okay? So PHP as a backend language, all right, Chad? PHP as a backend language. I'm gonna choose that, if you guys don't mind. If you guys don't mind. And I feel like for the front end, it's kind of difficult not to go with Laravel, okay? And if you guys don't know Laravel, it's literally this beast of a framework. I'm a Laravel core team member. You guys know me. I'm a Laravel core team member. However, you know, I have tried different frameworks out there, and I kind of feel that Laravel does provide much more on top of many other different frameworks, okay? Microservices only work with big teams. Yeah. Well, actually, that's the only case I see microservices being useful. Diabel is saying, change the music. Done, dude. Thank you. I'm literally wearing a Laravel t-shirt today. I know. Laravel forever. Let's go. Exactly. Microservices, over time, they just become way overwhelming to maintain. I have never had a good experience with microservices, you know what I mean? But I do feel like if you have a huge team, you know, you kind of have to have them in your, you know, in your organization. You kind of have to, okay? But yeah, Laravel, just looking at Theo's example, when I was looking at Theo's example, he has like, for example, for the auth is using something. For the router, he's using something else. You know, for the backend framework is using Next, and for whatever he's using whatever. And looking at something like this, it kind of feels overkill when Laravel gives you all of this, basically, you know? Oh wow, thank you so much for the raid, for the raiders, for people who just arrived. My name is Nuno Maduro, PHP and Laravel developer, and today I'm literally just writing my own stack. The things I do love as a web stack in 2025, and I'm literally discussing with my chat about that. So welcome to the live stream. And again, if you don't know me, my name is Nuno Maduro. I'm streaming every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Twitch and YouTube. If you don't know my Twitch, give me a follow. And give me a follow as well on YouTube if you enjoy the content, okay? Hey, what's up? How you doing? How you doing? So yeah, PHP in Laravel definitely as a framework, okay? So we talked a little bit about languages and frameworks, and I heard your opinion. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't get disappointed if you use something else, okay? I totally understand if you use something else because, you know, people use what they do have experience with. And people who use Symfony, or people who use Next, or people who use Django, they started with those frameworks and they like them because they have experience with those frameworks. And I feel like, you know, with Laravel, I'm a little bit biased, realistically. You know, I'm a little bit biased because, you know, I have all my life, I have pretty much have done development with Laravel. However, I must say, I have equally tried other frameworks. In Laravel, in terms of features, it does give you a lot. Okay. That being said, let's move forward. I want to talk about caching. What do you guys use for backend caching? Okay. So if you have, for example, this particular query, which is quite intensive, and you need to cache some of those results, what do you use? I want to know. Write on the chat, what do you use? Wow, I'm gonna see like 1,000 answers ready at the moment. There we go. Ooh, Florian is saying Upstash. Interesting. Pretty much every single one is saying Redis. However, we do have DynamoDB by Ismail. Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna give you the answer to the cache driver I use. And I hope you guys don't kill me. Okay? I hope you guys don't kill me. My default cache driver is this one. Okay? Literally, database. That's my default caching driver. And I do understand that some of you think, why the hell you would use that? Well, honestly, it does the job. Okay? It does the job. Cache database as a caching driver is actually a very good caching driver, okay? So that's typically my default on caching. However, I'm gonna tell you, sometimes when I go to production and I see that my database is becoming a little bit overwhelmed in terms of caching connections, I do change to something like Redis or DynamoDB, depending on where do I have my application, okay? If I have my application on something that belongs to AWS and I have easy access to DynamoDB, I may go to DynamoDB, or if not, if I have some easy access to Redis, I use Redis, okay? So I think I'm gonna put database, and in time, I use Redis basically, okay? After a bit, Redis, okay? That's what I'm gonna put. I don't use the file, dude. I understand that Laravel supports file as a cache driver. However, I feel that over time it just becomes a problem because the file is not persisted over servers, you know? So if you want to basically scale your web cluster between two different web instances, then your file won't be persisted between those two, and I feel like you are losing a little bit of caching capacities with that, you know? But I'm happy to see that a bunch of you use Redis. Redis is an amazing solution as caching. However, I feel like if you are just starting shipping your app to production, Redis is kind of overkill a little bit. Okay, it's kind of overkill. So you can go with database and then switch to Redis if you have to. How about database driver? What do you guys use as a database driver? And I hope you guys don't kill me again with my answer. What do you guys use as a database driver? I'm so curious about that. What is being cached? Any examples? Yeah, queries, intensive queries that sometimes take, hundreds of milliseconds, or potentially things like external calls to other systems. I do cache those. Okay, let me read this. I'm so curious. We have a bunch of Postgres, and this goes against what I have predicted in 2025. Postgres is becoming very popular, and I wouldn't be surprised that over time, Postgres just basically passes MySQL in terms of adoption on the ecosystem. I wouldn't be surprised, Chad. And I don't see as well MariaDB. I feel like MariaDB kind of lost his momentum. Do you guys remember when we had MySQL becoming slower and slower? Then we had the MariaDB fork becoming faster. But now with MySQL 8, MariaDB become a little bit useless or irrelevant. Let me know your opinion. This is just my opinion. Okay, I'm gonna tell you my answer. Are you guys ready? I use SQLite. Squeal. This is literally what I use. Squeal, dude. Literally squeal all the time. However, just like I'm using database for caching, if I'm going really production and I do have a bunch of users, I change to MySQL. Okay? I change to MySQL. So let's put here. Ooh, what's happened? Okay, here we go. SQLite. I'm gonna put over parentheses literally the production option. Like once I actually go on scale, what do I use? So caching database or Redis over time, database squeal in MySQL once I actually go for real, Dude, I have a bunch of production applications on SQLite and it just works. SQLite is the most underrated software in the world. Dudes, it's just unbelievably good. Like literally. Do you know, I'm gonna just tell you something, like literally. Do you know what it takes to do a backup on SQLite, on Squeal? Do a backup on Squeal is just copy paste. Like literally copy a file and you move that file to the backups folder and it just works. And you know what? Do you know what is a restart with Squeal? You just copy the backup and you override the production one. That's it. Like literally, Squeal is just the best. I have never used Turso. I would be keen to try Turso. Now, it is something fun about the ones that have answered MySQL. Do you use MySQL 8 or MySQL 9? For some reason, I have seen people saying that MySQL 9 is still not yet very well supported or it has some bugs. Does any of you use MySQL 9 at the moment? I don't yet. I'm not using yet MySQL 9. MySQL 8? Me too, man. Me too, literally MySQL 8 for everything. I think Postgres over time will overpass in popularity MySQL because a lot of people think, I know that a bunch of you have answered Postgres, but I feel like some of the people who answer MySQL, they haven't checked yet how easy is Postgres, But yeah. Okay. Anyways, great answers for you all. I'm gonna literally just put here over the comma Postgres, because I feel like it's a great solution as well. Okay, Postgres SQL, it's a great solution as well. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. Let's put here this like this. Let's move to auth. This one is kind of ridiculous, and if there is anyone in the chat who understands why we wouldn't use local auth, let me know. I'm using Laravel auth for kind of authentication. What do you guys use for authentication? Do you also rely on Laravel, or do you use something else locally, or you use something outside of your local development, let me know. Use Breeze, Sanctum, interesting. Laravel auth, exactly, just works. I was so surprised to see that. You know, some of the JavaScript community uses different solutions like Clerk. What is Clerk? What is Clerk to begin with? Clerk auth. Okay. Seems to be a little bit like Laravel Spark, but for auth. It seems like that, but I'm not sure. Is it auth as a service? So you pay for it, right? Can you let me know, Luis? Do you pay for it, right? You would have to pay for it, correct? Oh, it's kind of like Socialite. Interesting. Okay, I have a very hard time understanding as someone who is using Laravel. Wow, dude, thank you.
Seco 2K, 5 months? What?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Shiko. By the way, Shiko, I'm waiting for your announcement, okay? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, but I mean, again, regarding auth, I have a very hard time understanding why I would rely on an external provider, not only to hold the data of my customers, but if I can have all of that with frameworks like Django, Rails, or Laravel. I have a very hard time to understand that. But, you know, maybe there is a real reason which I'm not seeing at the moment, okay? You want me to see the pricing? Wait. Okay, I don't want to, I don't want to bash on anyone because I don't know the future. Maybe in the future I'll be like a JavaScript developer and I will be using these things. But it's just I don't get it. I don't get it. Like literally, I will never get this. I will never get that, but anyways, broadcasting, dudes. Let's talk about broadcasting. Well, with broadcasting, what I do use about broadcasting, obviously, I use Reverb, right? I use Reverb, and that's it, right? What do you guys use? Giuliano is saying, no way people pay for auth. I know. Let's talk about broadcasting. Reverb, me too. Reverb is such a blessing. Such a blessing. And for those of you who are not aware about what Reverb is, Reverb equally comes with Laravel, and it's literally broadcasting made easy. Like literally, you just self-host this Reverb server, and you can have interactive UIs that just basically react on events. It's broadcasting basically, okay? Pusher is equally a good solution, I'm aware of it. What do I mean about broadcasting? Oh, great question, and apologize about that. So basically, sometimes you are building like a chat, a chat application, for example, where new messages are coming in, you are sending in a message, you want those, the other people to get that message automatically and instantly. So for that, you need to use broadcasting because you need to push an event that will be captured by the different browsers. And for that, typically use broadcasting, okay? There is multiple solutions out there. Pusher is one of them, for example. Okay, pushing broadcasting is literally one of the solutions out there. Okay, Pusher is a very good one. I use Reverb, which is a self-hosted solution done or provided by Laravel. Sockete is also a good one. It is literally WebSockets. Like literally, it's literally WebSockets, by the way. By the way, if you are a first-time chat, my name is Nuno Maduro, PHP and Laravel developer. I love what I do, absolutely love what I do, streaming every single day every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I need to get used to the new schedule. At 9 p.m. on Twitch and YouTube. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe my channel. I really appreciate that. Thank you. The reverb, I think you can use reverb with Symfony, by the way. If you are a Symfony developer, you can literally boot a reverb server, and then that will obey to the pusher contract. Okay, so you just need to have a SDK client that uses the pusher protocol, and you are done. Okay. 9 p.m. UTC. It's actually 8 p.m. UTC now. I'm so bad at this game. Jesus Christ. I stream every single day, or every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. UTC. Okay? Reverb boots on Laravel, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, your Reverb server would be a Laravel app, by the way. Probably a JavaScript community have a famous link for broadcasting, but you have to pay. Come on, dude. Come on, man. I don't even know. Let me type here Next.js broadcasting. Maybe there is actually a good solution for them. I don't know. I don't know. I would have to check. I have no idea. Maybe there is a good solution for that. Tio doesn't talk about that here. I would reckon they use also something like Pusher, by the way. I wouldn't be surprised. To be fair, we didn't have anything on the Laravel ecosystem before Reverb. I think we had something from Marcel Posiot, I think. Oh, by the way, there was someone from Symfony. Basically, you can use Reverb with Laravel Echo, and that doesn't require Laravel. You can use that on Symfony. It just works. YouTube is running ads. Dude, I apologize. You know, it's really to support a little bit of my work. You know, I kind of want to make this profitable so I can literally, you know, kind of have a good income out of this. So I need to run ads. That's it, dude. A good way of avoiding ads is going to Twitch and subscribe my channel. And then you don't have ads. You can hear you during the ads. I think it's expected, right? I don't use Swole. But yeah, for broadcasting, we go with Reverb. I think it's a solid choice. How about testing? We are still talking about backend testing, okay? Backend solutions. How about testing? What do you use? For backend testing in your apps? So if you use another framework from Laravel, just type what do you use. If you use, for example, Django, just type the framework you use on Django. If you use Rails, just type the framework you use there. If you use Laravel, of course, type between PHP unit and past. You know, or if you use JavaScript, potentially Jest or VTest, let me know. Hey, Josh Theory saying, I don't test. Here we go, Josh. Oh, Playwright is so good, Josh. I know. Playwright is so good. I see that a lot of people use past. Some of the people here equally use PHP unit, which is perfectly fine. A lot of people here seem to be using VTest on the JavaScript world, which is something I was curious about, what you use for testing, if you use Jest or VTest. I was very curious about that. And a lot of you also use DD for testing, which obviously is not a good choice. By the way, if you have an existing application and you feel that it's not testable, just do smoke testing. Just literally set up some browser testing to see if the app is even running. You know, that's already good. Okay. Just manual testing. What is that? Come on, chat. Come on. Use real users for testing. Let's go. Okay. I think it's kind of, you know, for me, it's literally Past PHP. If you don't know Past, it's literally one of the most complete testing frameworks in the world. I have heard the creator of Past is kind of a very, very annoying person. But I use literally past PHP for a bunch of things: architectural testing, smoke testing, snapshot testing, and kind of everything at the moment. And you don't have to pay for it. It's literally for free. You can use it for free. Oh my god, it's such a fun stream today. Insane. All right, Chad, let's move to AI models. Why the hell do you guys want to talk about AI models? Why would you want to talk about AI models? Okay, I'm going to tell you what do I use regarding AI models. I use Gemma 3 with Ollama with 27 billion parameters. That's what I'm using for AI development at the moment. What do you guys use? By the way, this is what do you use in your applications, okay? What do you use behind your application's features at the moment, okay? I use Ollama with Gemma 3 model for conversations because I feel it's a good choice. If you use something that you pay for, it is equally okay. No AI yet? That's fine, man. That's totally fine. If you don't know, by the way, chat, you can literally use a self-hosted model locally or running in your web application, or you can use something like an external provider like OpenAI or Grok from X and more. You got okay? Yeah, I think this question become a little bit confusing because some of you all are answering like what do you use for local development, which was not the intention. Okay, I was more mentioning features, models that you use in production effectively, like literally in your backend. So this is what I use for production. I added another section here to what do you use locally for code development. And I feel like a bunch of you use things like, Cursor or Windsurf. We're going to talk about that today as well. Okay, OpenAI for production is very solid as well. ChatGPT 04, absolutely. You run DeepSeek locally? Jesus Christ, you have like 4,000 memory RAMs? Jesus. Interesting. I'm still yet to understand how I actually use some of those models and do not pay a bazillion dollars for them like in production. It's something I want to explore as well. Yeah, Gemma 3 is what I've been using for production apps. It's pretty cool. Anyways, let's move forward. What do we have? Let's talk about front end. Okay, let's talk about front end. I want to add here a topic which is UI components. If you potentially use some UI framework on top of the CSS framework. So let's put here GS framework and CSS framework, okay? Let's put like this. Okay, chat. First of all, do you use a front-end framework? Like literally, how many of you just use regular HTML with Blade or Livewire, or you use actually a GS framework? Let's start with that. Let's start with that, chat, because I want to know. I want to know. Interesting. This is nuts. jQuery for the win. Let's go. Oh my god, is jQuery still alive even? Let me see. Dude, it is the same website from literally 20 years ago. I remember this website. Oh my god. It's literally the same. There's this thing called jQuery Mobile or whatever it was called still exists. Oh my god. Oh, they are CSS3 compliant. What is even CSS3? This is something that was released 20 years ago as well. When was this released even? 2012? It's not 20 years ago, but not far away from that. It is cross-browser. Wow. Impressive. Oh my God. Props to jQuery, by the way. jQuery serves well. And a bunch of websites are still using jQuery, all right? Do not make fun of jQuery, all right? jQuery. So let's see, what do we have here? A bunch of people mentioning jQuery, by the way, which is totally fine. A bunch of Nuxt.js, interesting. View with inertia, okay. Yeah, the bar of the jQuery website it's like very insane, right? Like literally. Pixel perfect right there. Now, respect for... Wait, what? jQuery 4.0 is coming soon? Wait, they are literally developing a new version of jQuery in 2024. Wait, what? Oh, it's not released yet. This is literally 1 year ago. Goodbye, Internet Explorer 11. It was about time. It was about time, right? Oh my God. Insane. Oh, there is like literally a beta version already. jQuery. Oh my God. Anyways, I'm gonna tell you what I use, chat. I'm gonna tell you what I use, okay? I use inertia in React, okay? So let's put here React. Inertia, okay? I'm gonna tell you why do I use inertia now, okay? What's happening here? Can I make this bigger? Like this, there we go, okay? So I'm using React because I feel that in terms of ecosystem, React just won, okay? You see things like ShadCN, for example. That's actually one of the major examples. With only support for React, and it's difficult not to choose React because of that, okay? So I feel like React literally for the front end is one of the best choices in 2025, but let me know what you think, okay? I see that a lot of people on the chat uses Vue, and I think Vue is a great option, by the way, okay? I think Vue is a great option. Oh, interesting. ShadCN exists for Vue and Svelte as well. Interesting, didn't know. But I'm gonna tell you, I do have production applications today built with Livewire. Pinkery, which is literally a social media I have done with Laravel, it's developed on top of Livewire, okay? And it's working fantastically, you know, it's working fantastically. But, you know, I feel like today, React just gives you a more granular way of building your Laravel SPA applications together with inertia. But this is just my opinion, chat, okay? Angular didn't got mentioned. Oh, God, let's go! AngularJS. I know that Angular actually made a great comeback on the ecosystem, okay? I know that Angular made a great comeback. So, Livewire is a fantastic choice, okay? Livewire is a fantastic choice. Sometimes because one developer prefers something, it doesn't mean that the other thing is completely bad. Sometimes they are both good solutions. And they both solve the same problem fantastically, okay? And to be fair with you, I think I would be able to craft a front end with Livewire, with Vue or React. It would be the same. Now it's only Angular? Yeah, I know. Apologize. So Angular dev. Here we go. So this is literally a great comeback from Angular. The company behind React scares the hell out of me. You mean like Meta? Why would scare you? I think it's fine. But yeah, literally React is my choice for the front end. I feel the ecosystem is wider, has more options, there is more things available out there. I also feel like, I don't know what you guys think. Vibe coding, for example, with React is actually just insane. I feel like vibe coding tools can craft the front end using React fantastically. So those tools are very well equipped to work with React. That is just my feeling. Okay. How about CSS frameworks? I feel like the answer will be the same for all of you, but I want to know. CSS frameworks, what do you guys choose in 2025? Of course. Kind of expected. Ooh, a bunch of Bootstrap out there. Interesting. Daisy UI? Interesting. I've heard stories about that. It's literally Tailwind CSS components. Okay. Ooh, beautiful components, by the way. I must tell you that. Interesting. Oh, they are good. Oh, they have kind of everything. Interesting. A lot of people mentioning Bootstrap is insane. For those of you who use Bootstrap, if there is any kind of legacy reason, or do you truly believe that Bootstrap is very relevant in 2025? I use Tailwind, okay? I use Tailwind for a lot of different reasons. One of them being, I have literally learned CSS thanks to Tailwind CSS, okay? I have literally learned CSS thanks to Tailwind CSS. Like literally. Everything I know from CSS was literally learned from this. I can literally craft a front-end UI better using Tailwind CSS than using regular CSS, because I don't know how to do it, basically. By the way, chat, if you just arrived, my name is Nuno Maduro, PHP and Laravel developer. Today, I'm literally detailing my stack, my web stack, in the things I use. We went to begin with PHP as a language, framework, Laravel, caching, database, and then Redis once you actually go live in production. SQLite as a database, or MySQL and Postgres afterwards. Auth, we use Laravel, broadcasting, Reverb. Testing, you use Past, of course. AI models, geometry with a Llama and 27 billion parameters. And then we shifted a little bit to front-end choices, and we went with React to begin with, together with Inertia Protocol to communicate well with the Laravel ecosystem. And now we're talking about the CSS framework, which is, in my opinion, the best one, Tailwind CSS at the moment, okay? Uno CSS, what is that, dude? Meta UI, interesting. Tailwind Chat CS, welcome to the club, dude. Tailwind with Flux UI from Livewire, interesting. Yeah, I will share this. I will share this at the end. No worries, okay? Let's talk about local development, my friends. Local development starting with the operating system. And I'm going to tell you something. I've been using macOS since I can remember, you know. I'm going to tell you my story regarding operating systems. When I was young, I was in university and I didn't have a lot of money. I was literally making university with my own money. And I had to buy like a very cheap laptop, the ones that are super small. And that laptop was running on Windows back in the days. And, you know, it was incredibly slow and I was tired of that. So I changed to Arch Linux at the time. So I was using Arch Linux, which, if you don't know, is this kind of Linux distro which you have to literally configure everything to be able to run that operating system. And that was consuming 100 megabytes of RAM, which is exactly what I wanted. And it did the job for my cheap laptop. But then I found my first job after university and I was able to buy my own MacBook. And once I got my first MacBook, this was like in 2012, literally like 13 years ago, 14 years ago, and since then I've been using macOS forever, basically. Okay, so what do we have here? A lot of people using Windows, but I also know that Windows have made a great comeback in terms of developer experience. I know that Windows have made a fantastic comeback. Windows was bad, so you guys cannot not say that. Windows was bad literally back in the days, but then they made a great comeback. They have a new CEO and they made a great comeback to the world of developers. Linux, in the other end, is still great. I think Linux is great as an option, but the stability of macOS is something that I haven't seen yet out there. The stability of macOS is absolutely awesome. The stability of macOS is just chef kiss, absolute chef kiss. Ooh, Kitchen Sink is saying WSL2 with Windows ecosystem is unparalleled. I can develop almost natively, play games all in the same machine. I do get you. However, for video games, I use literally this platform. Have you heard this thing, NVIDIA GeForce Now? This is what I use for gaming, literally cloud gaming. Like 10 years ago, cloud gaming wasn't a thing because it would require you to have a very strong internet connection. However, today we have very strong internet connection, plus this is served on the edge. They have servers like right here in Spain, so I do play video games through my MacBook using this thing right here, okay? I play Counter-Strike, everything you can ever imagine, League of Legends, play Rust, I play pretty much everything thanks to this cloud gaming platform. It's kind of expensive, but does the job, Now it's possible again. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like back in the days, first-person shooters through the cloud gaming system, you would literally lag a little bit. It's not the case anymore. Now it's pretty cool. My favorite LoL champion, I like AD carries basically. So, what do I think about Octane? Laravel Octane is awesome. I'm a big fan of Laravel Octane. But yeah, local OS, I'm gonna just go with Mac OS, okay? All right, let's move forward. For local development, let's keep in mind there is front end, back end, there's a lot of things here. What do you use for IDEs? What is your editor of choice? What do you use? I'm gonna tell you what I use. I use, in my opinion, the best editor in the whole world for PHP development, PHP Storm. Okay, I use PHP Storm. I know, but I use PHP Storm. That's what I'm using. Ooh, a lot of love on Cursor here today, I see. Vim, of course, a lot of love for Vim. VS Code, a bunch of people with VS Code. Oh my god, it's really like a lot of people using different things. Notepad, that's new. Zed, I don't use Zed. I have never used Zed. Notepad++, let's go. Neo Vim is difficult for you? For everyone, dude. Vim is just a nightmare to learn. I have tried to learn Vim already 3 times. It doesn't work. Sublime Text, let's go. At least you get to see Sublime Text once here on the chat. I use Sublime Text sometimes as well. All right, chat, I'm gonna tell you what I use, okay? I use PHP Storm, okay? I use PHP Storm because for PHP and Laravel development, you can tell me whatever you want. You can come with VS Codes. You can come with vibe codings. You can come with whatever. PHP Storm for PHP development is just the GOAT. Okay? Is the GOAT. Refactoring capacities. You know, all this discoverability you get with PHP Storm, you don't get that anywhere else. Only with PHP Storm. But I have heard good things, I know, and I've heard good things about other editors. I know, for example, that Cursor is being widely used at the moment. VS Code, of course, also popular, especially in the JavaScript community. Vim, very popular out there. Undeniably, Vim has a huge learning curve, okay? Vim is difficult to learn. By the way, in case you don't know, JetBrains, aka PHP Storm, is literally sponsoring this channel. Okay, it's literally sponsoring this channel. So if you enjoy my content, give them a look, because literally PHP Storm, they are supporting equally my channel. They're awesome. They were awesome before sponsoring me, but now they are even more awesome now. You know, I literally reached them out. I told them, like, dudes, I'm literally pitching PHP Storm every single stream. Can you give me some money for that? Because it would kind of make sense. They would tell me, yeah, why not? And there we go. That was it. Data grip? What is data grip? Yeah, I could probably ask them for some giveaways. That would be a good idea. Dude, do not tell me that Vim is not difficult to learn. It's literally a new language. Vim is a new language. I know the basics of Vim, but Vim is kind of a new language. You need to learn what is the keys you need to type to exit. You need to learn what is the keys to move around. It's literally a new language, you know? Ooh, we can go about that. Let's talk about font, okay? Real quick about font. So again, PHP Storm for editors. Fonts, I use JetBrains Nerd Font at the moment. What do you guys use? This is what I use. The size, let me go here real quick. Font, JetBrains Mono Nerd Font. Here we go. I wasn't confused. What is this doing? What is the size I use though? I use 23. Yep. 23. And the color scheme is Cappuccino Mocha, which is one of my favorite ones ever. Here we go. Cappuccino Mochiato. Fix me later. Oh, Mona Lisa, interesting. Melrose. Oh yeah. Dank Mono because of Josh. I'm also a big fan of Dank Mono, by the way. Dank Mono is a great font. I think it's a paid one though, so I have that font, by the way. I like to have big fonts, basically. You know, I don't understand how developers can code with a font size smaller than this. Okay, when I see developers coding with something like this, for example, dude, where I'm supposed to literally read the code like this, I cannot see anything. Like literally, you know, impossible to read this. You can see shit. Exactly. So, you know, to be fair with you, I literally go. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if sometimes you see me coding like literally like this, you know, very big, and I can see everything, you know. Resolution, I think, is 4K.
Daniel HE4RT. OMG 5 months.
Daniel, thank you so much for the subscription on Prime. I really appreciate that. On Twitch, by the way. So I really appreciate that, by the way. By the way, guys, Daniel is a great PHP developer. Check out his Twitch channel. It's literally awesome. But yeah, this is literally my font, chat. Literally my font, okay? Let's talk about databases UI. Ooh, and I have a good one for this one. Databases UI, okay? Databases UI.
JD Santos
What
89.
do you guys use?
Moonvigo.
Of course, Table Plus all the time.
V1P3R
Felicia, thank
underscore
you so much for the
75.
subscription, dude. Thank you so much for your support. You are awesome. Literally awesome. Thank you, thank you.
Domafint. LBSXL.
A lot of people talking
Paddock
about Table
Ferrari.
Plus. Insane. Oh my god. I know that Table Plus is popular, but you guys will be surprised about my choice. Literally, you will be very surprised about my choice.
Liam Brewster. FB. Artemis 2.
Rodizio, thank you so much for the 10 subs, dude. 10 subs gifted. I really appreciate your support. You are awesome, man. Thank you so much. Chat, I have seen a lot of people talking mainly about two clients, DB clients. The first one is called a Data Grip, which I have never used. I want to have one live stream where I will literally explore that. But also a bunch of people talking about Table Plus, which I know it's awesome. For some reason, I'm using SQL Ace all the time. Are you guys familiar with SQL Ace? SQL Ace is this literally DBUI tool which I use all the time. And for some reason, I've been using this tool and I just love it. You know, I love it. Here we go. This one, SQL Ace, which is literally a UI tool for MySQL. I love it. It looks like this, basically. Looks like this. I know at some point that people mentioned that SQL Ace was kind of not modern anymore, and people changed a little bit to Table Plus, but I'm still using this. I love this. You know, I love this. Why don't I use PHPMyAdmin? I don't know, man. I used to use PHPMyAdmin like literally 15 years ago. Not anymore. Is PHPMyAdmin still a thing that people use? That's insane. Chat, is PHPMyAdmin something that people still use? I just refer back to something like MySQL. That's it. But PHPMyAdmin is literally something you need to install. PHPMyAdmin. You need to literally host this on the server, right? What? I'm confused. Oh, I'm not confused. This is literally something you need to install on the server to be able to access the database. Exactly. I'm more referring to things you would use locally to see your own database, and people typically use that through SQL Ace, for example. It's famous on the WordPress world. Interesting. You can use it with Herd. Oh, okay. Comes with Laravel Herd. Interesting. I didn't know that. By the way, chat, Marcel Posiot, the creator of Herd, told me that Laravel Herd comes with support for TypeSense automatically. So I was installing that. I was installing Laravel TypeSense with Brew, but apparently Laravel Herd supports TypeSense. Okay, so you might want to check that. Here we go. Literally just works with Laravel Herd TypeSense. Okay. Yeah, chat, I don't use PHPMyAdmin, so I hope you guys apologize me. I'm literally, a SQL Ace fan. SQL Ace fan. Let's type here SQL Ace and Table Plus. To be fair, I also use Table Plus to access my Postgres databases, okay? So let's type here Table Plus. I'm gonna put here side by side, okay? What do I use about my caching UI? I don't use anything, dude. Like literally, I never had the need of going to my cache layer, like locally, literally. Do you guys use any caching UI app? I don't use anything really. CLI, yeah, probably would be the same for me, to be honest. Probably would just open Tinker and access the caching layer like that. Data grip as well. Jesus Christ, I need to check the data grip situation. Everyone talks about that. Data grip. What is this? Oh, it's a data branch thing. Okay, must be good then, right? Interesting. So I assume you can have, oh, Redis right there. You see, chat? You can have MongoDB, Redis, DynamoDB, everything just right there with data grip. Chat, I promise you, I will try this tool in some live stream, okay? It's already integrated with PHP Storm. Yeah, I will double check that. Now I have a bunch of databases running locally, and I don't want to expose them to you all. So I'm gonna kind of not trying that right now. If you guys don't mind, apologize about that. Can you use the type sense on the free version of Laravel Herd? I don't know. I would have to try it out. Table Plus for Redis, interesting. So that's another great idea of using Table Plus. That it just supports Redis out of the box as well. Interesting. All right, chat. Caching UI. I'm gonna put here that the thing now is literally Table Plus or Data Grip, even though I don't actually use them at the moment. Terminal. Oh my God, this will be a polarized one. What do you guys use for terminals? I want to know before telling you what do I use. Oh my God, this will be a polarized one. I can feel it. Already. Jesus Christ. Warp? Wait, what? It seems... Oh my God. Use Terminator for the terminal? You mean like the Linux thing? It's been a while, dude. Heaper, let's go. I equally use Heaper sometimes just for presentations. You use the macOS terminal? Oh, dude, please God, just change that. There is so much better terminals out there, dude. Use the Windows terminal? Yeah, likewise. There is better terminals out there. Interesting. A lot of people are mentioning, well, most of people are mentioning two, okay? Warp and iTerm2. The terminal I use, and I've been a big fan of this terminal, is called iTerm2, okay? I've been using iTerm2 literally forever, and I'm a big fan of it. I have literally one YouTube video on my YouTube channel. Call it something. Here we go. Make your Mac terminal look amazing. It's probably one of the most popular videos I have with 90K views, and I'm a big fan of iTerm2. This is literally what the terminal I'm using on this video, if you guys want to check it out, all right? It's literally the terminal I use all the time, iTerm2, okay? But I get that Warp, a lot of people talk about Warp. So I'm going to type here, Nuno needs to try Warp, because everyone seems to love that terminal. Song name, I have no idea, dude. I just use Epidemic Sounds, that's it. Kitty, what is the Kitty terminal? Is that like a real thing? Let me type. Looks like a cat name, to be honest. Oh, it's actually a terminal. Oof. If it looks like this is really sexy, by the way. I use Eeper for my presentations, by the way. Okay, so I probably should still type here Eeper sometimes. I'm gonna type iTerm2 in Eeper, and Nuno needs to try Warp. Ghostly, dude, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you all. I think Ghostly, it's a good terminal, but it was way overhyped on the beginning. You know what I mean? I feel like it was good, but probably a little bit overhyped when people were like mentioning that Ghostly was like the next big deal, you know? It is true, right? I know. Boys, let's change. Let's talk about how do you serve your local applications. I know that is equally something that just came to the Laravel ecosystem and kind of revolutionized a little bit the way people serve applications. But I want to know, what do you use to serve your applications locally? Ooh, a little bit polarized as well. A lot of people with different options. Interesting. So a lot of people will Docker, which is interesting. Docker is awesome. Once you learn Docker, you can literally do whatever you want with it. So if you need a MySQL server, you just, configure your Docker file. If you need Redis, you just configure your Docker file. And I know that it's a technology that if you don't know, it's worth to learn. You will end up working with Docker sometime in your life. So you might as well just learn it right now, okay? I have made the mistake of not learning Docker early in my career, and I feel like I have lost opportunities of simplifying not only my local development, but also shipping applications better. So if you don't know Docker, just learn Docker today, okay? That being said, what I'm using today to serve my applications is Laravel Herd. Okay? Laravel Herd just came to the Laravel ecosystem just like magic. Honestly, I have wasted a bunch of my life using Brew on my Mac when I could have just used Docker when I could have just used Laravel Herd, and I feel like I've lost a bunch of time because Laravel Herd is just awesome. Maybe someday we can have Marcel Posiot here on the live stream to talk with us about this. How about the CodeIgniter 4 framework? I feel it's just, out of its time already. CodeIgniter is peaking popularity like literally 10 years ago. But, I don't think people are using CodeIgniter anymore. It's been a while, okay? Valet is amazing. It is amazing. I was using Valet as well before Erd, and, Valet was awesome, indeed. Erd is more awesome though. With Erd you can have MySQL instances, you can have caching, you can have type sense apparently, you can have emails, you can have logs. It's just, undeniably the best way of serving applications in 2025. At least that's just my opinion. That is just my opinion. Docker is a must-know. Chat, we should have a live stream about Docker. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think? Write on the chat if we should do it. Just type yes, because I feel we should do a Docker live stream, basically. 1000% agree. I do agree. I need an expert on Docker, dude, because, I told you guys that I know Docker, but I know the basics of Docker, I know that people know a lot more than Docker than I do, Yeah, we need to do it. Let's do it. So server applications, I'm going to type Laravel Herd, and that's it. However, I do understand if people use Docker, okay? Let's move to debugging. What do you use for debugging? Realistically, we're talking about Xdebug or DD or something else. I want to know what you guys use for debugging. Wait, what? Literally a bunch of people typing Xdebug. Jesus Christ. It doesn't surprise me. Honestly, it doesn't surprise me. The Xdebug, like realistically, Xdebug is actually good. For some reason, I'm like a DD person, I just use DD if I want to debug stuff. A lot of Ray developers here, which doesn't surprise me at all as well. So I see mainly three different options. I see Xdebug, I see DD, and I see Ray mainly, which makes sense. My overall feeling is that I am a DD guy. Literally, I like to have the snappiness of going to some code and just type DD there, and just know that my code will stop there and I will have access to all of the environment variables, all of the information of that variable. Undeniably, I don't know if it's the case right now. You guys let me know. All of you who are Xdebug experts, is Xdebug still a pain to install? Write on the chat, yes or no. Back in the days, I'm talking like 10 years ago, Xdebug was uninstallable, literally a total nightmare to install Xdebug on my laptop. But you guys let me know what you guys think. Okay? It's okay now? Interesting. It just works? Okay. By the way, chat, if you don't know what is Xdebug, I used to use Xdebug. In what's debug, it's this debugger functionality for PHP, which you might find in languages like C#, for example. You basically set up breakpoints in your app. You say something like, I want the code to stop here, here, and here, and you execute the code, will automatically stop on the first breakpoint, and then you decide. You can step line by line, you can step over a function, you can step in a directed function, so you can go literally line by line and check the contents of those variables, and it really just works. But, you know, I'm not using it. By the way, what does the JavaScript folks do? There is any kind of Xdebug for the JavaScript ecosystem? They do have breakpoints or not. I'm not talking on the browser. I know that on the browser, there is literally things like the debugger, basically. So I'm not talking on the browser. I'm talking about the backend, you know? The backend, basically. So the backend is console log, like DD. Interesting. By the way, chat, if you just arrived, this is Nuno, which is me, and this is my lovely chat stream here. I love these people. They come every single day, and this is just awesome to be with you all. And again, I'm a Laravel PHP developer streaming every single day at 8 p.m. UTC on Twitch and YouTube. If you enjoy my content, give me a like, a subscription, all those cool things, a subscribe, blah, blah, blah. If you enjoy my content, that would mean the world to me. Okay? And yeah, this is my lovely chat. You guys are awesome. To be honest, I know that a bunch of you don't come every single live stream, but it just feels good when I'm starting my live stream and I see some of the familiar faces every single time. You know, I feel like I've created a connection with some of you, which feels good, which feels good. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I know, dude. It's like a mechanism on my brain at the moment saying every single day, every time. But it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, indeed. But yeah, debugging DD, okay? DD is undeniably, for me at least, the best debugger. And I'm going to type here, I understand if you use Xdebug, okay? That being said, AI models in your editor, what do you use? As you guys may know, very popular editors today, they are coming with this thing called the AI assistant, okay? Obviously, you know, that is Cursor, that is Windsurf, but equally PHP Storm has one. So here, for example, you have access to various models that you can use to this AI assistant. A lot of people use PHP Storm AI, for example, but there is Claude, there is many others. I use Claude 3.7. That's what I'm using today. Okay, so I use this Claude 3.7 with my AI assistant. However, for auto-completion, I'm using GitHub Copilot. Okay, so just to recap, auto-completion on the real code, I'm using GitHub Copilot. For the AI assistant, aka vibe coding, I'm using Claude 3.7. Okay. A lot of people using Claude. I know that Claude is literally the GOAT. Like in terms of AI assistance, in terms of vibe coding, Claude is the GOAT. Like literally the GOAT. So what I will type here is GitHub Copilot plus cloth, 3.7. Okay. Okay. All right, chat. AI models, we are done. Let's move forward for CI. Where do you run your CI? Okay, I have my answer, but where do you run your CI? So you have your application locally, you do a push, and you expect your deployment to start after the pipeline of testing have done. I'm going to explain what is a CI for some of you who may not know. Okay, I'm going to explain you. So you guys use something like Git, basically. At least I hope you guys are using Git. Okay, so literally every single time you do a change in your code, you want to use something like Git to really push the things to production. Now, every single time you do a Git push, you typically don't want that code to go to production immediately. You want something in the middle to literally run your test suite, and that test suite doesn't run locally, runs on the CI. Okay, so that stays in between your production in your actual local code. Will be like this. Okay, this is the thing, call it CI. On the CI, you can do multiple things, typically testing, and then you ship to production, which is kind of the next step once the testing phase is over. Okay, now the CI can be hosted in multiple places. And indeed we can do a full stream about this, a full stream about CIs and what you can do and where you can do. I think it'll be fun. I'm gonna tell you what I'm using, and it's kind of what most of people are using here. I'm equally using GitHub Actions. I just have one problem with GitHub Actions, chat, which is so annoying. Okay, GitHub Actions, the CPU is bad, literally. They have a bunch of different options, but the CPU they have for those options is always bad, literally, It's YAML files, indeed. You can have your own GitHub runners. Oh, can you elaborate on that? Because I don't have mine at the moment, and I'm struggling because, my production apps just take forever to deploy. And I'm using like a beast of a GitHub Actions machine, But it's still the CPU, it's bad, basically. Justin Key is saying, I have a GitHub Action that compiles a Rust app for Mac, and it takes 11 minutes to run. Dude, that's so painful, man. 11 minutes, that's just, you go for a coffee, basically. Yeah, indeed, I need to move my apps to its own, runners or kind of its own machines for testing, basically. I need to think about that, okay? But indeed, I'm using GitHub Actions. Some of you are using GitLab as well, which is interesting. Or cheaper CI for my good friend Chris Fideloper. I can see as well that some of you are using what else? Circle CI. I've used Circle CI once and it was interesting as well. Azure DevOps for work, interesting. GitHub Action Script I recommend. Yeah, on my if I go here to GitHub Vast Kits, I'm literally developing currently my own starter kit. Don't tell anyone, okay? You are seeing this starter kit, but just don't tell anyone. Literally, work in progress. Don't use this yet, all right? Don't use this yet. On my starter kit, I literally have the workflow I typically use for tests. So I have a single workflow, and what it does is, set up the application with a bunch of caching for the vendor and NPM Node modules files. And then what I do is that I just run the entire test suite. The entire test suite is kind of heavy, to be honest. If I go here into my composer.json, you will see that I'm using things like type coverage, testing typos, running unit testing in parallel, Pint for linting, the PHP stand equally, so it runs the entire thing on its own file, okay? So for CI, I'm going to put here GitHub Actions. Do you guys feel that it's anything else to be said here on CI? I think we are over, at least on the CI level. What else do we have here besides hosting? We have documentation. I want to talk about documentation before moving to the hosting provider. We have production services as well. Yeah, let's move here the hosting provider for production services, I feel. Here we go, Shad. Let's put the docs section here on the right. That was a good one, Chad. Here we go. Production services. Production services or documentation. Let's start with documentation, actually. Documentation, honestly, I'm going to tell you something. I have never, like literally never, have been on a company where documentation was well organized. Is always, by like always a mess. Either that is a huge Google Drive with all of the documentation, and it's a nightmare because it's always disorganized, a bunch of files uncompleted, blah, blah, blah. Or there is this Notion mixed together with different applications people use because every single people use its own application. I'm going to tell you what the best way to organize documentation on the project, okay? I'm going to tell you the best way of organizing projects documentation, okay? This is what we are using on Laravel Cloud, and honestly, it's been a blessing, okay? The best way of organizing a documentation is the following. You create a folder with the name docs in your production application. Okay? You create literally a docs folder in your application's repo. Okay? And then inside of this folder, for some reason, because developers are going to review it, it needs to be over a pull request, people actually organize this very well. So here, for example, within this, you can have a release.md, you know, you can have, for example, things like postmortems and have literally like a date for every single postmortem you may have, you know, like locks on database, for example, .md. You can have, for example, docs pull request.md, and you have, this is the most important thing, you have a readme.md, which points to every single one of these documentation pieces individually, just like a table of contents, okay? So this is what I'm using today, and I see myself using this all the time for documentation. What do you guys use, by the way? I'm literally curious. Confluence, by some people. Confluence is a Bitbucket thing, right? I think. Notion, which is interesting. NoDocs for Moda. VidPress, yeah, that's not bad. I feel like you can use VidPress on top of this, literally. You know, you still have this on the repo, and you use VidPress to serve these docs. Confluence from Italian. Okay. Yeah, I feel like overall, this is literally the best way I have seen for organizing things because, again, because it needs to go through a pull request, for some reason, people tend to actually maintain this a little bit more carefully. So for me, this is literally just, you know, the Git, the application Git repo. And I'm going to type here readme.md, release.md, or docs release.md, etc. Okay, just pen and paper. That. All right, chat. Let's finalize this with production services. Production services. Where do you host your application today? Okay, I'm biased, but I want to hear. What do you use for hosting your applications? My streaming software, it's called Streamlabs, okay? Etzner, AWS, interesting. Laravel Cloud, of course. AWS, expected. Reason NMTV is asking why I'm using NPM, because it just works, man. I don't want to learn a new one, you know? Is anyone using Laravel Cloud? Laravel Cloud is awesome, man. Laravel Forge, of course. Pretty cool, you know, product as well. VPS equals to bankrupt. Is that true? No, I don't think so. How can I manage my Laravel Cloud database? You can, you know, depends what you want to do, but you can literally just access the database through Table Plus if you want to. Camus is saying, I don't like the pricing of Laravel Cloud. And you prefer a more predictable pricing, I assume. A bunch of you feel that you are using Forge. Some of you are using Forge because, you know, it's a great solution. Others, you know, they probably want to try Laravel Cloud, but they are waiting for the opportunity, I assume. Oh, you're waiting for Reverb to be supported? That's actually a good one as well. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm using Laravel Cloud at the moment for two reasons, okay? The first very big reason why I'm using Laravel Cloud, it's because I wanted to actually test Laravel Cloud. Like literally, the very first application shipped to Laravel Cloud was mine, okay? The very first Hello World on the browser, it was me creating an application on Laravel Cloud, locally and in production as well, okay? Now, once I have actually moved some production applications to Laravel Cloud, I was actually super convinced that this is literally the best way in 2025 to have applications running. It's literally Laravel Cloud, okay? Now, if Laravel Cloud wasn't a thing, let's assume for some reason Laravel Cloud wasn't there, okay? What I would use is Laravel Forge with DigitalOcean, okay? So I think DigitalOcean is a great service for indie hackers like me, okay? They have great options. They have literally server backups in a very cheap price. They have very cheap servers, and I've been using them, and I feel like they are actually very stable. I like their pricing, and DigitalOcean with Laravel Forge would be probably the way to go if I didn't have Laravel Cloud. Okay, I do understand why some of you are using AWS, which is equally a great hosting solution. I feel like if I have a really important production application, I would probably use directly AWS with Laravel Forge, if Laravel Cloud wasn't a thing again. If you just arrived, chat, my name is Nuno Maduro, streaming every single... No, I'm joking. Streaming Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Twitch and YouTube at 8 p.m. If you enjoy my content, give me a like, subscription, and a subscribe, and everything else in between. Thank you, chat. Alexandra is asking, are we talking about personal projects or professional ones? A little bit of both. I feel like I'm using Laravel Cloud now for both indie projects or toy projects, but equally professional ones. If I was, if Laravel Cloud wasn't a thing, I probably would use Laravel Forge. If it's like a personal project, I would use DigitalOcean. If I was using something more, client work, for example, I would use AWS, just basically because of RDS and the database options they have over there a little bit better. You know what I mean? Hey, Az, it's nice to see you, man. Kubernetes is other technology which I would love to explore on the live stream. Okay, so I have this infrastructure team at Laravel who works with Kubernetes, and all of them tell me that Kubernetes is just this magic thing behind Laravel Cloud. I haven't used on my own laptop Kubernetes, and I would love to learn that. You feel it's complicated, Sando? I would love to learn that, to be honest. Maybe you can have someone on live stream to teach me about that. Okay, so Laravel Cloud. How about emailing? Dude, I don't even know which email provider we are using on Laravel Cloud at the moment. But I want to know what you guys are using. What you guys are using for emails? Ooh, Mailgun, resend, interesting. What more? What more? What do you guys use for emails? Mailtrap, interesting. Postmark. SQS? SQS is not an email provider, it is a queuing provider. SendGrid, interesting. Gmail, what do you mean, dude? What the heck? I'm talking about you put your application in production and you need to send emails to your customers. Can you use Gmail for that? Hotmail, of course. So I'm using on my personal projects, I think it's Amazon. Yeah, I'm using this thing, okay? This is what I'm using for my personal projects at the moment, and kind of any production application that depends on me configuring email. I'm using Amazon SDEs because it's so cheap, basically. So this is what I'm using. How cheap? Dude, it's cheap enough that I don't have to think about that. That's how cheap it is, basically. A lot of people talk about resend, man. What is it? So I know what is resend, but never used resend. I know it's supported by Laravel, basically. So Laravel has a driver for resend. Can you guys let me know what resend has that I would not expect, for example? Oh my god, their website is actually gorgeous. Jesus Christ. Their website is absolutely gorgeous, by the way. Oh, they give you like some stuff like tracking. You can see like what time the email was sent. Oh, when it was delivered, when it was open, and with what, when it was clicked. Interesting. How privacy is respected here, but yeah. Okay. They have their own dashboard. Interesting. Okay, chat. I'm gonna type here Amazon SE for me, but that's it for now. How about logs? Of course, logs, man. Logs. I'm gonna start with my thing. Okay, Sentry. I think Sentry for logs is just absolutely crazy good at the moment. Okay, Sentry is what I've been using since forever, basically. Okay, their dashboard is actually good. Equally, they provide great options for, you know, if you want to have some context around the exception. It's cool to see the exception trace on their dashboard as well. This service is never down. Really just works. Really just works, chat. What do you guys think about this? You use AWS for logs? Dude, the CloudWatch UI is possibly, and I'm not joking, is possibly the worst UI in the entire planet. Is any of you have worked with the CloudWatch UI? Because if you have worked with that UI, it's just the worst nightmare in the planet. Like, it doesn't make any sense, literally, the CloudWatch UI. Justin Key is saying CloudWatch is literally the worst thing I have ever used. Dude, I agree with you so bad, man. What type of things I log? So I have, I have a big thing about logs. I feel like logs should be instantly handled. So exceptions are for exceptional things. So if you have an exception in your logs, you need to take care of that exception immediately. What I do tend to see in some production applications out there is that over time, people start consider exceptions as normal things. So you go to a project, you arrive to a company, and you see like a bunch of exception on the logs, and you ask the developers or the team, and people say they are normal. And I'm like, if those exceptions are normal, why are you even logging them? You know what I mean? If they are not exceptional, why are you even logging them? Just ignore them. If you feel they are normal, basically, you know. So I have a very particular way of seeing exceptions, which is once you have an exception, just immediately either take care of the exception or delay that to a week where all of you are going to tackle exceptions. But do not make exceptions a normal thing. That doesn't make any sense, you know? If your caching driver or your email provider is failing all the time, just act on that. You know, don't take that as a normal thing, because that's the perfect combination for a mess in the future, you know? 2,200 followers on Twitch. Thank you so much, chat, for giving me more than 2,200 followers on Twitch. One more goal here. Really appreciate your support, chat. You are awesome. Christopher, thank you so much for agreeing with me. People use CloudWatch, OpenSearch, Bugsnag. I know Bugsnag was good. They have changed the name, I think. Datadog. I have never used Datadog, surprisingly. I know they are good, but I've never used them. Nightwatch will take over Sentry. I hope so. Nightwatch is coming out in May, by the way, in case you don't know. When do I do logs? In what situations? Well, I'm going to tell you one example on Laravel Cloud where we do actually a lot of logging. Sometimes you have a deployment to take care of. Imagine that you have an application shipped on Laravel Cloud. You want to do a deployment. I have a bunch of exceptions around the monitoring of the deployment. I'm going to give you an example. The logs you see on the Laravel Cloud UI, they are agnostic from the deployment itself, meaning they are not fetched from the same place. So typically, something that should never happen is a customer having a failed deployment without logs, without understanding the reason, you know? So what I do is that if at any point, at any circumstances, I have a failed deployment, but without logging, I'm gonna throw a logs missing exception. Okay, so this is a perfect example where I would use exceptions. So here on this particular scenario, an exceptional situation happened, which is a problem for the customer, because without logs, the customer will not understand why the deployment failed. It needs to be a reason. So this is one example. What else? I use logs when around every single broadcasting. So every single time I'm broadcasting an event to my broadcasting service, I have that under a rescue so I can know if the broadcasting service is down without affecting the workflow of my application. So yeah, just wrap things that are important under exceptions. Okay. Datadog is expensive. I have no idea. I have never used it. So hopefully Nightwatch will solve this for us. At the moment, I'm using Sentry, okay? How about domains? What do you guys use for domains? I'm gonna start with my answer, Cloudflare, okay? I don't know if there is any other place for domains. I feel like Cloudflare is absolutely crazy for everything, literally. You know what I mean? Like, Cloudflare not only is great for everything, but also for, you know, for DDoS protection is actually a very good example. DDoS protection that comes with Cloudflare is awesome as well. So, you know, what do you guys use over there? A bunch of you use Cloudflare, which is not surprising. It is the GOAT, Cloudflare. I agree with you all. OVH, interesting. I used to use them, well, back in the days, but not anymore. João Souza Nino is asking if I can show a broadcasting example. Yeah, just real quick. Every single time let's assume you are broadcasting, for example, on Laravel. New, let's say, application updated, for example. This is actually a very good example. Okay, so what I do here is that I rescue this interaction. So basically, if this broadcasting fails for any reason whatsoever, this will never affect the action or the workflow of the action. And this will basically not dispatch, but catch exception, and that will be visible on the logs. Okay, name sheep as well, of course. Cloudflare is the goat. I agree, man. Infomaniac domain register. I have no idea what is that. To be fair, I use Hover in Cloudflare. Hover is literally this domain. Okay. What the heck is rescue? It's basically a way of, if there is any exception on this piece of code, report the exception, but just keep going with the code. I don't want that my broadcasting impacts the workflow. I think they're all cheap for domains, to be fair. For buying domains, pretty much every solution is cheap. By the way, chat, is the stream okay today? I have reduced the bitrate to 3000. Let me know in the chat if the stream is okay for you all. Just write yes or no if it's not okay. Okay, seems to be okay for a bunch of you, which is exactly what I wanted. Okay, thank you so much for the feedback. Okay, I may have to reduce a little bit the bitrate again, but it seems to be good for everyone except one or two people. So, by the way, chat, if you just arrived, we are about to conclude the Nuno stream stack, which is literally the way we develop applications. We have choose PHP as a language, framework Laravel, caching is Redis to start, and then we move to Redis, SQLite for database, and then we move to MySQL or Postgres. For auth, we use Laravel because it just works. For broadcasting, we use Reverb. For testing, past PHP, AI models, Gma 3 with Olama. For the front end, we use React with Inertia or CSS frameworks. In CSS frameworks, we use Tailwind CSS. Local development, macOS with PHP Storm, font JetBrains Mono, Nerd Font, size 23, color scheme Cappuccino Mochiato, database UI, SQLite or Table Plus, caching UI, Table Plus, terminal, iTurn2 or Eper, and Nuno needs to learn RAP or ARP. Server applications, we use Laravel Herd, debugging, we use DD, but it's totally fine if you use Xdebug. AI models for local development, we use GitHub Copilot or Claude 3.7. CI, we use GitHub Actions. For documentations, we use the application Git repository with the readme.md or documentation folder. And we are terminating this with production services. Laravel Cloud for hosting, but it's totally fine if you use Laravel Forge. Email, we use Amazon Simple what? I forgot what this terminology is about, but this thing right here. Logs, we use Sentry, waiting for Nightwatch. Domain, you use Over and Cloudflare. Cloudflare is the most important thing here. How about analytics, chat? What do you guys use for analytics? What do you use? I'm going to tell you immediately. I use this thing, call it Phantom Analytics, okay? Phantom Analytics has been a very good solution, a very good surprise for me, and I love them, okay? Phantom Analytics. What do you guys use? Plausible, interesting. What do you use? What do you think about Sentry for Analytics? I don't use anything on Sentry for Analytics. I use Phantom Analytics. Google Analytics, interesting. See you tomorrow, Florian. You guys don't do analytics at all, do you? I use Phantom Analytics, it really just works. Pando, interesting. Yeah, for some reason, I feel that Google Analytics, they don't respect privacy at all. That scares me a little bit, you know? Like, you can literally know everything about the people visiting you with Google Analytics, and I prefer a more privacy-focused solution like Phantom Analytics. Honestly, when I'm developing applications, I truly respect privacy of people. I don't like to store IP addresses. I don't like to store, things that I wouldn't like people to store about me, basically, Every single one here in the chat have a different idea about analytics, which is interesting. But yeah, I'm using Phantom Analytics. Let's finish this with payment provider. What do you use for payment providers? I use Stripe all the time, okay? I cannot remember the last time I haven't used Stripe for payment solutions, literally. Stripe literally just works for everything, for recurring payments, for one-time payments. The dashboard is absolutely gorgeous. Stripe dashboard is absolutely gorgeous. And of course, I use Laravel Cashier, which works behind the scenes with Stripe. Oh, interesting. Why would Stripe ban you after a month? Yeah, I feel like Stripe is just the best one, like literally. Paddle is also good. For some reason, I don't know, man. I've seen them being a little bit flaky from time to time, but that's what I'm using, Stripe, basically. This program is called Escalidraw, okay? I feel Stripe is literally the GOAT as well. All right, Shad. This is the recap, okay? I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to fix all the typos and to make this a little bit more clear. Then I'm gonna copy paste this and tweet about our web stream stack, basically, okay? By the way, chat, if you don't follow me, give me a follow on my socials. I am literally everywhere, including on Twitter, which is mainly the place I use for kind of everything. We need a name for this stack, though. What is the name of this stack? Let's go here all the way top, and let's come here. Nuno Stream Chat stack seems a little bit, kind of weird. We need a name for this. Nuno stack? Interesting. Nuno Goat stack? Kind of wish you guys were on the name as well. And then Nuno stack. Okay. Okay, let's go with the Nuno stack. Thank you so much, chat. That was a good one. Oh my god, you guys are so cool, man. All right, chat. Today was an awesome live stream. I'm gonna raid a big friend of me called Patricio or João Patricio. He is literally starting his live stream live today. So I'm gonna send you all for his live stream. As you guys know, I can raid people from Twitch. So I'm gonna raid Patricio on Code, which is literally starting today his career as a live stream person. So have fun with him, okay? Have fun with him because I feel you are going to have a blast with him, okay? Thank you all for coming today. That was a blast of a live stream. I had a blast. I catch you guys tomorrow, next Wednesday for some more content. That being said, see you Wednesday. Peace out.